everyone, and welcome to this edition of Model Connection. I want to welcome my co-host tonight. I felt that a podcast concerning models needed a model's point of view, and I've asked a friend of mine that is in the business, a model herself, if she would do me the honor of being my co-host. And I want to welcome her to the podcast tonight. Lauren Collins. How are you doing, Lauren?
I am fantastic. Thanks for asking.
Glad
I'm
to
so
have you
happy.
here.
I know it's been a long time coming. I was sick and now we're back in business and I'm really happy to be here. You've given me a wonderful opportunity and you've stuck by my side through all this time. So
You
I'm
were
really
bit by
grateful to
the
be here.
big bad bug. How are you
Oh my
doing
God, the
now?
plague, man. Oh my God, it literally put me in a whirlwind. I don't understand how people like across the countries that were like, or like even in like California or New York that were just like sentenced to be in their home for like months and months at a time. Like my heart goes out to them because I was in my home for 10 days and I thought I was going to pull my hair out. I was going to come here bald. This is a wig. I'm not doing okay mentally,
Not
which
your-
will probably be fun because I'm crazy right now. So I need the social interaction.
okay. Well, you'll fit right in with this podcasting, okay?
Yes, sir.
So, if it's okay with you, let's just get right to it, okay? I want to welcome our model guest tonight. Her name is Miss Kinsley Williams, and she is from here in Murfreesboro. How you doing, Kinsley?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing just perfectly fine. So glad you can make it here tonight on this rainy night in Murfreesboro.
It's pretty disgusting looking outside, so I completely understand. I had a hard time almost getting here. I felt like I live 10 minutes away, and it was just really hard getting here, being in the rain and everything else. I just don't like driving in the rain. I'd rather it be sunny and warm all the time if it were
Oh,
up to
don't
me.
we all? But it's our tendency weather. Get used to it.
You're so right.
If you
You're
don't
so
like it,
right.
wait 5 minutes, you'll change.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, Kinsley, for the photographers that are listening to this podcast and watching, tell them about Kinsley Williams.
So, my name is Kinsley Williams. First off, I am 21 years old. I will be 22 next month.
Babies.
I am. I'm pretty young.
wish
I
I
mean,
was
maybe not in
21
the
again.
modeling
You
world,
probably
but
feel old. I remember when I was 21, I'm like, oh, I'm so old. But
some days
enjoy
I feel
it and grasp this moment while you can, because before you know it, time flies, literally.
some days I feel
Enjoy your
5
baby
years
years.
old, and some days I feel 35. So I don't know. I feel like it fluctuates for
Yeah.
sure. But
Part of being young.
yeah, definitely.
He's
So-
like, I don't want to hear
He's
it.
like, okay, whatever.
Hey, I'm
Enough.
listening in, okay? I'm just listening in.
So
Okay.
I'm from a little town in Tennessee called Clinton. So I'm right outside of Knoxville, but I live in Murfreesboro now. So I am a student at MTSU here in town. I am an aerospace student, so very different for a
God.
girl.
That's
But
awesome.
I love what I study. I think it's so much fun just learning about planes and being around planes. It's definitely a really cool way to shoot too, just having the
Yeah.
opportunity to be at the airport and be around planes. It's a really cool editorial idea, but
What inspired you to want to, study that?
so my dad actually traveled for a living a lot, like on aircraft and things like that, like going to the airport. And so I just always had this nostalgia when I went to the airport, and I just kind of lit up like a little 3-year-old when it sees candy.
Aw.
I don't know, it was just something in me that found it really interesting. But then I was pre-med when I was in college, and then when I first started, and then I transferred over again. I was like, I don't know what I want to do,
Mhm.
So I started looking at different things, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go off of a hunch right now and just try aerospace and change schools. I mean, it was a fully drastic move, but I was very nervous about it and wasn't sure if it was going to work out. But I think it turned out to be one of the best decisions I've ever made. I'm just very grateful that I ended up changing, because I wouldn't have had the opportunity to move out here and to be happy here. I love the Nashville area. I do. There's so much to do out
That's
here.
wonderful.
But go ahead.
Yeah, no, so I guess he has more questions
Yeah.
about
Okay, now as far as your modeling,
Mhm.
what have you done in the past? Your genres. What are you comfortable in doing?
I am definitely most comfortable in commercial modeling. I did a lot for the brand called Altered State. I'm one of their professional models on their roster. And so I was on their websites. I did e-commerce for them. And I came in and did some stuff for like the merchandising team. So I love doing commercial modeling. It's really fun. And then I also have a lot of experience in beauty modeling, especially like recently. I've been doing a lot of work with a company here in Nashville, Clarksville area called EM Magazine. And so they've given me some awesome opportunities to do a lot of beauty modeling. And I've found I absolutely love it. It's so much fun. It's probably one of my favorites that I've done.
Well, okay, so you have been a modeling how long?
I've done it right almost at 3 years.
3 years,
So,
and you've already accomplished that much.
yes.
Okay, okay.
So if that says anything to anybody listening today, if you have a dream to model, go for it. Just absolutely go for it, because sometimes you don't know what's out there for you, or maybe the possibilities you have. I mean, I'm sure you were the same way. You just have to get out into the industry and try it.
Yeah.
So
And I think especially these days, no matter who you are, what size, what shape, whatever you see in the mirror, I think that it is very empowering, whether you're male or female,
absolutely.
to find your place, especially with photographers and with modeling or whatever it is. Go and shoot for the stars, because
Definitely.
you never know what happens. And
Exactly.
I think it's natural for us to say, well, that's not for me, or maybe I won't make that, or I won't do that. But I mean, you never know until you try.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
You don't know until you try.
now you've
Okay,
been here 3
has
years.
modeling always been a dream of yours, or did you just fall into it? Did you back into it? How did you get started modeling?
It wasn't a set in stone dream. I always liked watching like the glamorous girls on TV and seeing that. I had ever since I was a little girl, I was a dancer, so I knew right off the gate that I was a bit of an entertainer or
Mm-hmm.
performer, that kind of thing. And so I had a feeling, I like being on stage, or I like, being in front of a crowd, or this or that. But I always had a bit of a creative streak. I'm a bit more like, if you meet me and you understand who I am as a person, you're just like, wow, she's just very ambitious and she's very goal oriented. And then you probably wouldn't think that I would have any kind of creative side. But then modeling to me is just a way to be like, show off my creative side and be able to continue to help portray different ideas and different concepts.
Mm-hmm.
So
Okay, and now, okay, how did you get started in modeling? Did a photographer approach you, or did you go to some modeling call, a modeling agency? How did you get started?
I have an odd, well, maybe not super odd, but I had a bit of an odd experience for my first actual gig, I guess. I when I was pre-med, like I mentioned earlier, I went to a school, like a college in Virginia, and they had a fashion merchandising department on campus. And so they were actually hosting a model call for their fashion show. And so I thought, this is a great way to meet people at school. I'm a freshman. I want something to do, and modeling on a runway seems really cool. So let's just go try it out. And going to the model call, I tried to do my research, tried to
Mm-hmm.
see what it was like to be a model, or
Right.
what to expect, or what to wear, that kind of thing, how to act the part. And I just really wanted to go in not looking unprofessional. So I really just wanted to be decent. But I went in and just didn't think I would even get the opportunity. And then they, gave me a part of the cut, and I was just completely blown away. I was like, wow. And but anyway, so my first experience was actually on a runway, which is pretty cool. I mean, to me, that's really cool. Most people, it's going to a model call for like an agency, or talking to somebody, to an agent
Mm-hmm.
or something like
Right,
that.
right.
But mine was on a runway, and so I thought that was really cool.
Runway is
Wow.
really difficult to get into. I mean, I'm
Yes.
assuming you're tall. I didn't see when you walked in.
Yes.
You're probably tall.
I'm
Enough to be-
5'6", so I'm not.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow,
I'm
that's
not.
rare for them to.
Yeah, she's tall, yes,
Congratulations,
yes.
girl.
I don't
Work
know.
that
I mean,
runway.
I'm not 5'9", so you know how
Not either.
that goes. I love runway. I would say out of all of them, runway's my favorite. If I could go fully runway, I would. Like Naomi Campbell style, if I could go
Mhm.
all the
Gosh, do
way,
it.
I
Do
would
your
love
thing.
to do
And
that.
that's another
But
thing that I think is like, I understand, like, it's been in for like ever since modeling existed. You have to be 5'9" or taller, and they really are looking for that certain body shape. But I mean, as the world is progressing and as we're already going into like commercial modeling with different sizes, and we're being more open to different body type ideas, and I'm hoping that maybe they'll progress with that as far as runway
Absolutely.
goes too, because I mean,
I'm so ready to see body
let's
inclusivity.
be more realistic here,
Yes,
people.
I am like so ready to finally see some more body inclusivity in the
Mhm.
industry. I feel like that's going to be the new, hopefully, that may be the new part of runway.
Right.
I would love to be a part of that. That would be really awesome.
In your 3 years of modeling, how has it treated you? How has your life changed in the last 3 years?
In the industry,
Yes.
I think I took a different approach. I kind of looked at modeling as a creative, like fully as like a creative on the side job. And then once I started realizing, okay, I actually really enjoy doing this and I may have a little potential in this industry. Could possibly make something for myself
Mm-hmm.
that I kind of started to change approach. And so I ended up deciding, okay, maybe I want to start doing things, trying different outlets, doing different projects maybe that I wouldn't have before, and kind of actually spreading my wings a little bit
Mm-hmm.
and trying new things. When I first started, actually after that runway show, that summer I went home and actually transferred home to another school. And so I actually decided, you know what, I'm going to look into some agencies and just, start. Because I actually really enjoyed that runway show. And I was like, okay, this would be so cool if I could do this a lot. But so I started looking at agencies. And the agency that I actually signed with, I didn't have a great experience with them personally. I felt like they almost tied my hands in a way
Mhm.
instead of promoted me the way they should have. And so I really had this opinion of agencies just because of that one. For a little while, I had that one, like just because of that one in particular instance. And I was like, maybe
Kinda
just
burned
being,
you.
yeah, exactly. It really did. It kind of gave me a different light on being an agency model. And so I was like, yeah, I don't know. And so I
Yeah.
decided, you know what, while I'm growing, while I'm expanding, I'm going to be freelance. And I think that's probably the best decision I've ever done because I
Mhm.
can work with different agencies. I can find, go ahead.
Sorry. So I'm curious, like, so with working freelance, are you still
Yeah.
doing that now?
Mhm.
And how you were able to promote yourself into, you mentioned that you just recently started modeling for
Mhm.
Altered State and
Yeah.
all of that. I feel like that's very agency oriented work.
Mhm.
So how did you, per se, like, how did you get, like, did
For
you just,
Altered State.
yeah, or
Yeah.
and any other things that you've done? Like, how did you promote yourself
I
being,
I
independent?
am definitely of the opinion that you really just have to be adamant on looking for model calls. They are very. I understand like certain professional like businesses like American Eagle or Chaps or Gap or Aeropostale, bigger name brands usually go through agencies to
Mhm.
get their models. But a lot of times, I know Altered State in particular, they actually put a model call out in the community. And at the
Mhm.
time when I lived in in Knoxville, their main headquarters are in Maryville. So they're
Okay.
in East Tennessee. And so they did, I guess because I was in the area,
Mhm.
they did like a little advertisement. I found out from somebody else who sent it to me that sent me the advertisement, and she was like, you should absolutely apply. And so I did, and just went to the model call and they chose me. I was blown away. I was like, wow, this is awesome. But
Mhm.
honestly, just I love looking at, well, I always try to look at like Facebook ads. I try to look at just keep up with their social media feeds. A lot of like agencies even will do model calls,
Mhm.
on their Instagram, and they'll advertise that or this or that, or like Nashville Fashion Week. They promote that all on Instagram and things like that. So I just try to keep up with everybody's feed like via social media, and that's kind of how I promote myself and just try to, hopefully get a gig.
From the research you had done on modeling, is it what you thought it would be?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I say that because
Tell us about that
yeah,
now. Tell us about it.
maybe this is just my opinion, but when I first looked at modeling, I was like, wow, they have to have like some kind of genetic beautimous, something advanced about them as a person. They have to be next to a goddess to be able to walk on a runway like that or have an opportunity like that, to be that gorgeous. But just having once I was in the industry and I realized you don't have to look a certain way. You don't have to be a certain mold. That's the whole point of modeling, is to kind of break those barriers and to actually that's usually what pushes the new and advanced side of modeling for the generation to come. And so I think just in general, I really just changed. I opened my mind and my perspective a little bit more, especially once I got in the industry.
I think with really anything, it's more so like just finding your confidence, and
Yes.
it allows you unless you get a really bad photo, you
You
try to look past those.
Yes.
But for the most part, I feel like it's very empowering, and it kind of
Yes.
brings you centered into like loving yourself and more body positive.
It's all about confidence,
Yeah.
100%. I feel like
Even
people,
if you don't have it, even if you don't have the
Yes.
confidence, you'll eventually
Exactly.
find it. And if you don't, well, just call me and I'll help you.
Yes. I feel like, I don't know, the models I've come across, they're not super cutthroat. I mean, I know you're going to be your really big sticklers in the industry, but my personal perspectives have just been really like empowering and encouraging women.
Mhm.
When people find out about a model call, I don't know if this is just because of the areas I've been modeling in, but when someone finds out about a model call, they usually send it to the people they know, and they want other people
That's
to
really
come with
nice.
them. And I just feel like that's really cool,
Yeah, I think too, with what you were saying about, the women and how they've all really been encouraging, I think we all tend to battle, as human nature in general, like we're all our own worst critics. Like we see things on ourselves every day that other people don't see. So I think it's important that, in the community, whether it's through modeling or anything in life, like it's important that we uplift each other and we stay positive and, point out the positives in the other person, because we're terrible to ourselves sometimes.
Oh,
Like we see
absolutely.
we're just so that's really great.
Yes, it is. Okay, now one burning question I've got. What has modeling taught you about yourself?
Do I have to dumb it to one thing? I feel like it's taught me
No.
35 things.
Tell-
I mean, I feel I don't know.
Tell the photographers
Yeah.
what you want them to know about Kinsley Williams, okay?
I love to just try new things, like new perspectives, new projects. I, for a while, thought, okay, I kind of want to stick to this particular side of modeling. And then the more opportunities that I got, I decided, you know what? Maybe I fit really well in this role. Maybe I will have an opportunity to do really, really well with this side. So I really just tried to open my perspective a little bit more. But I definitely think that I love trying new things. If you have a really cool creative project that is just out of the water, a little different, unconventional, that kind of thing, I absolutely love doing things like that and, molding into something that the photographer wants. And I do want to say also, I feel like a lot of people, general people, not people in the modeling industry, but people look at models as like these superstars, right? They're like they are the star of the photo.
untouchable.
Yes,
Yeah.
and they're the star of the photo.
Yeah.
But they don't look at the hair and makeup artist. They don't look
Everything
at
behind it.
yes, the wardrobe specialist, the creative director. It's all you are a cog in the machine. And so when I get on a set, I look at, okay, what does the creative director expect of me today? What is their end goal for how they want the model to portray a certain the certain project? And so I really love talking with the creative director or the photographer or just knowing myself if it's a shoot for me, just always knowing exactly or have a ballpark of what they're expecting. Not just me. I'm always going to try and put a little bit of spice and say, this is Kinsley, because I'm a bit of a more of a bold person, and you'll always get bold with me when you are on set with me, or if you see me in a photo, you'll always get that. But I just try to always at the end of the day, remember this isn't just about me.
Mhm.
There's a whole team behind me helping me out. And so,
That's important.
exactly. And so I just always try to remember that is that I'm just a part, to play here.
Right, right. Okay, now, I know we all have to learn somehow, some way. We've all got to pay our dues, as I call it. How do you feel about working with a photographer that is just learning, has got absolutely no images to show you as far as his quality of work? How do you feel about working with a new photographer getting started?
I definitely think it depends on the individual. I think because I've worked, I'm a little bit more established than I was when I first started, but especially since I'm working with Altered State and I'm, working with magazines and things like that now. But I don't mind to work with photographers because, like, newer end photographers, because they need to have professional experience. They need to be working with professionals and they may not have the opportunity to work with higher end, models like ourselves any other way. And so I wouldn't have started. I wouldn't have been able to start without the help of other people.
Mhm.
So it's just my way to give back to the people that have helped me and helped train me is to help, new and upcoming photographers. I may give them pointers or just be like, maybe we could try like a faster shutter speed, or maybe we could, try a different location or setting. Maybe the lighting isn't great here, or maybe, there's some things on the camera. I'm not a professional or an expert by any means about photography
Mhm.
and anything behind the camera, but if I see a photo, sometimes you can see, oh, well, the lighting's really dark on that one. Maybe
Mhm.
we could just try, just basic general things like that.
What are issues that you see as a model that concern you?
About like that are in the industry.
Yes, yes.
I think modeling is very selective, in my opinion,
Mhm.
and not always, but especially the higher you go when you get in high fashion, um, things like that, you start to get more selective and they look for a specific thing. And so I think that, in my opinion, when you cut off your opportunity for influence or unconventionality kind of thing, then you lose the creativity out of the industry. You lose the meaning and the vision behind modeling as a whole. It's not just to be cookie cutter. You don't want the same type of body style, or you want a different look and you're always going to want that.
Mhm.
And so I think if you like photographers and more creative directors just in general, I feel like are kind of trying to be more cookie cutter in the high fashion industries, because I feel like they're just not really budging on body positivity, like especially like for example with like the Victoria's Secret fashion show,
Hmm,
things
hmm.
like that.
Mhm.
Right.
So I just feel like there's a point where the industry is going to have to finally actually like move with
Move
society
towards, yeah.
to really accommodate to that, because there are a lot of people that are not in the modeling industry that are just general public that would absolutely support a company that would promote that,
Hmm.
especially if they're an outlier in like high fashion. I feel like they would take the world by storm, in my
Mhm.
opinion. So I just think that they I have a feeling from what I've seen that they just try to be cookie cutter. They try to be what's convenient. We want the 5'9", or we want,
Mhm.
just this just for convenience, or for, you know, um, outfit changes, or it's easier for the designers, which is completely understandable. But I do feel like to an extent that some of these companies that may want to reach outside the box, that they should absolutely do that, because that's what's really
Mhm.
going to deter the bad seeds away and really bring the new good people in.
Yeah, I think
Very
it's
good answer.
you were spot on.
Thank
Very
you.
good answer. Okay,
Very
now
intelligent.
Thank
picked
you.
Medium brains.
I picked out some images of yours to go over tonight. So if our producer will kindly start putting them on the screen for us. Uh, the first image here, if you can describe it to the people that are listening. what we are looking at here.
Yes. So this photo was actually taken by Sean Pemrick. He is located in Knoxville. This was actually at the start of my modeling career. This was probably one of my favorite shots that I've had, just because I feel like this is my natural smirk. If you look at me or see me in class, I'd be like, what's up? And that's kind of me. That's just my like
What is
everyday.
that?
Yes, that's my everyday look, and that's something I would wear, around town or at the mall. If you see me at the grocery store, well, I may not be that
Just like
dressed up, but you know what I mean. Exactly.
Door type look,
Exactly. So I really appreciate this photo because of that. And I love shooting outdoors. Sean in particular, he's one of my favorite photographers. I love him. But he loves to work outdoors, and he's great with like outdoor lighting and that kind of thing. And so I just love this photo. This is like one of my favorite ones that I had done. This one was actually
rave vibes.
yes. So the kimono that I'm wearing was actually handmade.
Wow.
A lady made it in, well, this is also a Knoxville photo, but she hand makes these kimonos and she sells them on Etsy. And so I had the opportunity to just promote her business
That's awesome.
and be on her website and that kind of thing. But when I saw the bell sleeves of this kimono when I first put it on, I was like, you know what? I feel like an angel. I'm going to be an angel today.
Yeah,
And that's
do it.
this
Rave queen.
Exactly. I'm spreading my wings here. I'm in a
You're like a
unitard.
fallen angel.
I'm in
but,
a
like,
leotard right now, but by God, I'm going to be an angel kind of deal.
It works.
It
Yes, it
does.
does.
We'll see what,
Thank you.
I love your boots too.
Thank you.
Oh, I love this.
Definitely, probably more girl next
Wholesome.
door.
Yeah, very
Yeah.
wholesome,
Yes,
very
yes.
pure.
This was also done in Knoxville, but this field in particular was one of my favorite locations to shoot at. This place, as far as the eye could see, it was just nature. There was not a building in sight. And so it was just, I don't know, I felt like this shoot was at sunrise as well, so it was extremely early in the
Oh,
morning.
that's the best lighting.
Exactly. And so this lighting, like this was a little bit after sunrise, as you can tell, because the lighting is a little bit heavier than at sunrise. But like in the summertime, there's actually like huge sunflowers, and so it was a little earlier before the sunflowers were out when we did that one. But that one's just really, really good. I was so muddy in that shoot, though. I just want to say I had mud all over that dress. I know it's white. But
You
I
can't
mean,
tell. It must have been afterwards.
exactly. Like
Did y'all like go?
I was frolicking through those flowers, and I was soaking wet. My dress was completely sopping wet, and it was muddy. And I was like, I don't understand how. I mean, it's just photographer magic, I guess, that they can make it
Yes.
look like I'm not dirty and muddy. But that one was really fun.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, well, this was my favorite.
Angel wings.
Back to you.
Angel
Yeah.
wings.
This was my angel moment.
Are you really an angel?
Maybe.
You don't
Maybe
know.
a little
No
bit.
comment.
No, I don't know. No, definitely not perfect by any
No.
means. But
Beautiful.
thank you.
Where did you get those wings?
So this place actually had these as a rental. You could rent them. I personally believe that every woman should have a pair of angel wings on
That's
and
what I was
have her
asking.
own
Where do I
angel
get my
shoot.
own?
Yes, like at least once in your life. I feel like
Should've
it's
put it
just
on
an
my Christmas list.
exactly. It's just like it's almost like every woman should have her own crown. Like her crown
You
moment.
have a crown too.
Well,
where are you getting all these things? I didn't know.
I feel like
I
every
didn't have any of this. What am I doing?
get your
what am I
own
doing
girl.
wrong?
I'm telling you, it's
I got-
completely worth it. It's just like a motivational thing. Like
know.
when I had these wings on, I just
I'm gonna
felt
wear
like
a crown and some wings for this.
yeah,
next
do it,
podcast.
do it. Be an angel queen. Just completely.
on my throne.
Those
The
wings were,
seat's not gonna work.
but
I love it. That's awesome. This. Where, is that in Knoxville
This is
or
in Nashville. This
I
is
was gonna
actually
say,
in
this looks like
Nashville.
Nashville. This is great too. I love
This was
this.
done with Ricky Pineda. He is here in Nashville, and we actually did some shots. I think near Chinatown, if I'm not mistaken, or right
You've
down
got-
near Fifth and Broad.
I love how different all of your pictures are. Like it's not just like one type of style. Like I know
Right,
personally I'm bad
right.
with that, but like you have like you can literally morph into different things. Like you were saying earlier, you like to push your boundaries.
Yeah.
and it,
Thank
it
you.
shows.
Thank
It definitely
you.
Show your
shows.
versatility.
So believe it or
Yes.
not, this is an everyday look I would wear. I wear band tees and jeans and a comfy pair of tennis shoes and some chains. That is my go-to every day, or a leather jacket. So this like really helped me show a little bit more of my edgy side. This is pretty much my everyday.
Wow, okay, great photos.
Thank
Great
you. Thank you
photos.
very much.
You have done very well in your 3 years of modeling.
Yes,
thank
girl.
you.
Yes, keep
Thank
doing what
you.
you're doing. If you're listening right now, if you're listening to our podcast, that is wonderful. We want you to keep listening. However, if you wanted to see these photos, these beautiful photos of Kinsley here, please check out our YouTube channel. You'll be able to see our beautiful faces and just see.
Her beautiful faces, okay?
Hopefully you'll be able to see
Specifically.
all of us, you know.
Yeah.
That's the whole
I
point of the
mean,
podcast,
yeah.
for sure.
Okay, now I know you two ladies wanted to talk about another topic, but something that I think that a lot of models may be dealing with. So I'm
Yeah.
gonna hand it over to you two ladies. okay?
Definitely.
Like we were discussing earlier, as far as mental health, and I know that's such a big topic these days with my background in psychology. I just really wanted to morph into something more general for anybody to be listening to, especially younger people our age. What's something that you specifically have been struggling with that you feel like modeling per se like helped you to overcome?
Personally, I think growing up, I was kind of the outcast. I was kind of in and out with different friend groups, but I never really had like fit in, I guess, like with a particular group of people. And so,
I never
Not-
did either.
yeah.
Yeah, black
I feel-
sheep.
Absolutely. But I feel like black sheep changed the world.
Mhm.
And,
It's true.
you know, and I want to say that modeling really helped me push my boundaries for who I was as a person. And so I really struggled a lot, not so much how I looked, but how people thought of me. And so that really weighed on me a lot. And I was just a hard worker, but I really was a people person. I was a people pleaser. And so I just had a hard time like saying no growing up. I had a hard time, just finding things that I wanted to do despite like what other people wanted me to do. And I feel like modeling gave me a bit of an individuality and some spitfire to be like, you know what? No, I'm not going to do
Mhm.
this. This isn't something I want to do. And just to be able to find out who I am as a
Mhm.
person, like to be able to say, my name's Kinsley Williams and I'm also a model, compared with everything else that I do and just in my regular life, just being a model helps me get that creativity out and that artistic side of me that just really like pushes on me a lot. And so I feel like that's something that everybody should just really, I don't know, I kind of took it as a bit of therapy almost, just to be able to do something I enjoyed. And so modeling was just something I enjoyed. And so, especially struggling with like in college, once I got out of high school and into college, I struggled a lot with like stress and
Being able to handle all of it.
yes.
I think that's a big thing that
Yes.
most people deal with, the transitioning from high school to college.
to college.
It's like a fishbowl. You go from being a senior into back to a freshman, and it's difficult. It's hard to to make that transition. But continue on.
Yeah,
with
you're
it.
fine.
Yeah.
And I think the way that I got started into modeling, because I told you like starting into college was when I went to that first model call.
Mhm.
And I was in a dark place, like mentally a little bit. And so just with my confidence and like who I was still kind of trying to figure out who I was as an individual. And so when I started modeling, I kind of found that. And I really just wanted to go as far as I could with that just because it gave me so much joy and it took away some of my stress.
Mhm.
And it was just a way to really be productive with it and
Like you
be
said,
creative.
it was a creative
Yes,
outlet.
it
that-
was.
Yeah, I feel like that's important, finding a hobby or creative outlet.
How did you have the confidence enough to go to that first model call? Were you scared half to death?
Absolutely. I think in a way, if you're not scared half to death, you're crazy because especially like in just starting anything new, I feel like that's just common, and I was scared to death. I really was. I walked in there and I think actually the first time I walked down the runway, my legs were shaking. So, I mean, and the fact that I made the model call, I mean, it wasn't like super, super noticeable, but just people, if I can make a model call with shaking legs, you can absolutely do it. And I think that's just
there
the
you have
message
it,
Think of
okay.
behind all
that
of that.
model that you see with the when the
Yes.
heels are
Yes,
just like,
and the
"Oh,
heels are
she's
going back and forth. Oh my gosh,
Oh my
that's
gosh, you probably feel that way too. Like I know, and I'm like
yeah.
doing something like if I feel uncomfortable, like I'm all out. Like I'm like, I know I look ridiculous,
Yeah.
but I'm just gonna own it. And
We're gonna we're gonna
pushing
own it.
yourself in that discomfort, I feel like it helps you to, not only grow as a person, but then it's like, okay, well, I kind of want to keep doing this. I kind of want
Yes.
to keep pushing myself out of. If I'm not uncomfortable, then I don't know
If I looked like an idiot doing this and I can get through this,
Yeah.
I could get
We all
through
can do it.
anything.
We all can do it.
Like that's just anyway.
Yeah, I love it.
Wow. At a model call, I would not think that a company would expect to find, pardon me, Tyra Banks, America's next top model. Okay, they're probably looking for the girl next door look, the hometown girl.
I do want to say though, I think from watching America's Next Top Model so many years, I love the show, but I'm like, you can't be America's Next Top Model without being that hometown girl. You just can't. And I think that in our own way, nobody's better than anybody else. It's all about practice. That's another thing I do want to hit today. Modeling is all about how much you practice, how
Yes.
comfortable
Anything, yeah.
you are. A baseball player has to hit. He has to, go to practice and condition. Models are the same way. We have to be in front of cameras.
Learn different poses.
Exactly. Be comfortable in certain garments, work with different projects, different scenes, different people. It's all about getting and doing things and practicing. And it shows. Your work shows. Like if you look at same thing with you, I'm sure. But every model, just in general, if you go through their portfolio over the years and you look at where they started versus where they end up, especially like supermodels or, that kind of thing.
You can see that transition.
It is,
You can
yes, it's like,
see
exactly.
where they were,
Exactly.
where they
So,
were and where
if
they
they
were.
can do it, why can't I? And
Exactly.
why can't you? You know what I mean? So I just think that I always remember that when I'm like, wow, she is absolutely stunning. She is absolutely gorgeous, but she's a hometown girl like me, I'm sure, and just having
Has
that.
the same probably mentality of like, oh, this certain things on me I don't like, or I feel like it's really easy for you to think like, celebrity models or something like that. Like I feel like it's easy to look at them like, oh, the holy grail of modeling, but they're human too. Like
Yes.
they see flaws in themselves that doesn't show in a magazine or
photo,
whatever.
yeah.
But they're human too. They deal with exactly why I wanted to hit on mental
Exactly.
health, because I think it's really important that people realize that models are human too, and that
Absolutely.
we don't think of ourselves as perfect, and we definitely don't expect
perfection.
Yeah, no, at all. And it's important.
I
to
just say
know
that perfection
it's
is
impossible. We're not
impossible,
perfect.
and that's what the photographer's for.
That's what Photoshop.
That's what
for.
Photoshop
the
is
pressure.
for.
All the pressure.
Yes, if I have a pimple on my face, so what? That's what blurring, that's what
Yeah.
Photoshop is for. So, and models, like even bigger models, I feel like they go through so much struggle, so many struggles that maybe me and you can't even relate to.
Exactly. They
You
probably
know what
deal
I
with
mean?
way more than we could even imagine.
And the pressure and like just always being in the spotlight all the time. I mean, just being a celebrity, just having everyone know you just by looking at you. What kind of world do you live in? Like in your, you know what I mean? Like what kind of world are they in that everyone recognizes them everywhere? Like that must be so stressful in a lot of ways because they don't get privacy. They don't get the freedom that me and you get in a way. So
And
they
they're
kind of
still
have
human
to,
too.
exactly,
Like,
and they really are. So, and they go through they go through the same emotions that we do. They
so when
eat
you
the
make
same
it
we do.
big,
Yes, I mean, you know what I mean? Exactly. Like they sleep like we do. I mean, honestly, like we're all the same, and I just think it's important to always remember, no matter what.
What is your opinion of pageants?
I'm biased. I'm very, very biased because I
do your thing. Sorry.
I started in the pageant industry actually later than I did in modeling, and maybe it's because of the systems that I competed with, but modeling and pageantry, believe it or not, in some ways, not all, but they go hand in hand, especially when it comes to stage presence and it comes to how we can walk, how confident we can be on stage, wardrobe, how we can speak, that kind of thing. I think that a lot of the things that I learned as a model really helped me transition into the pageant industry so much more. And pageantry is changing. I think that there's a huge stigma with pageants, in my opinion, that people see it as a beauty contest. And some systems, unfortunately, are like that. But I do want to say that there are systems that exist that are big names that they don't always look at your physical appearance. They expect you to dress a certain way, but so does a modeling industry. So, when you go to a model call, they expect you to dress a certain way. It's kind of the same thing. If you go to a job interview, you're expected to dress a certain way, depending on what the job interview is for. It's just the same thing. And so I think a lot of people get wrapped up into the small, like, negative details about pageantry, but pageantry, if you ask me about like what exactly it is or just in a nutshell what it is, I think it honestly is a women empowering way to really advocate for something you're passionate about. And organizations, these women, yes, they're pretty, but they advocate for a ton of like extremely important organizations all throughout all throughout the world. They help raise money. They help promote causes. They go to public appearances. They really help network for these companies. And so I think it's important. Without pageantry, believe it or not, a lot of these charities and organizations would suffer. And so I think in a way, it's just a way for them to be able to represent where they came from. But I do think that pageants, a lot of people get wrapped up in the sparkly dresses and they get wrapped up in that's what they see on TV. But you
Right.
don't see the interview. There's an interview process that the judges and them go through. So you don't get to hear who they are as a person, or you think, "Oh wow, that girl is absolutely stunning," but have no idea she was homeless growing up. Her father, her father was incarcerated and she had to move around the United States to just make something. Or some So you have these women that just really work on
Bettering themselves.
exactly.
Yeah.
It is a bettering themselves
Getting through.
industry, and that's what it's meant to be. But of course, you always have your bad seeds. You always have the people that ruin it,
True.
that make it look worse or that make it into something it's
I'm
not.
thinking of miscongeniality right now.
Yes, exactly. And toddlers and tiaras, I always hear that, and it's like, okay, it's dramatic. I promise it's not that bad. If you go to a pageant, you're not going to have, like, just in general, not always you're going to have, like, mom's cat fighting behind a curtain. Like, usually, believe it or not, people, like, moms in particular, they're usually more helpful to other girls. Like, this is just an example, but I had one pageant where one of my earrings broke. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was about to go out on stage. And I had a mom come up to me and say, here, baby, here, these are one of my daughter's sets of earrings. You can use them.
That's
Just
sweet.
super, super sweet. And it's just very, like,
Probably the South,
motivational.
too, though.
Exactly. You're right. It may be just part of, like, the culture we live in to just, empower other people. But I do think that, like, when you look behind the curtain, these women are patting each other on the back. They're giving each other hugs, and they care about each other. And it's a family. And so the systems I've been blessed to represent, it's a family. And those are the systems we really need to promote, especially with the growing, changing of the time and society changing. I just think that if we promote these systems that are doing really well for women and being able to help with you work on your public speaking.
I love that.
You know what I
love
mean?
the idea of, like, promoting women, because I feel like
Yes.
there's so many, like, we've all been through it, especially, I mean, I don't know men, but particularly I know with me, for example, like, growing up, like, I felt like so jaded by women.
Women are just mean.
They were so mean and cutthroat.
They're just mean.
And I didn't understand it. I was so pure-hearted. Like, I just wanted to help everybody, and I
Yes.
didn't understand it. I was so
Exactly.
hurt, so bullied, and I didn't
See-
get it. I thought there was something wrong with me personally. So, for you to deal with, like, to be able to go through, like, promoting and, like, patting each other on the back and, like, women that are empowering each other, like, that is the most ideal thing I can ever,
Yes.
think of, because it's just been, I feel like the older you get, that jealousy and that, kind of cutthroat thing kind
sure.
of
Kind
falls
of
to the wayside.
subsides,
Yeah,
yes.
exactly. But Not sometimes, not necessarily. Sometimes you think somebody's, you just never know. And it's like
Yes.
it's good to be smart too. I mean, but I promote 100%, at least with me, because I know what it's like to be, bullied. I know what it's like to have women or anybody against you, and it's like, well, you don't ever want anyone to feel that way. So
Absolutely
you want
not.
to, promote the best in them. You want to uplift them when they're feeling down. You want to, point out their positives, because you know dang well that they're human, and they're looking in the mirror like, oh God.
One of the best
So
quotes I think I heard, okay. One of the best things I think I heard was from a queen. I think it was Miss Universe. She said, um, that's at the end of the day, only one woman goes home with a crown. So, what am I going to make of it for myself?
mhm,
I'm going to try and encourage other women around me and try to make an experience, enjoy the experience, because I may not go home with a crown.
mhm.
She said, I was blessed to have gone home with a crown, but she said, but most women that compete in pageants, they don't, you know what I mean? They're not going home with this title
Mhm.
that we're all competing for. And so
Mhm.
we have to make it worthwhile to be in this industry. And so that's kind of what the newer side of pageantry, we're really starting to see that. If you really dive into the industry, you're starting to see this more women empowering
Mhm.
motivational stuff. And that's what's
That's
important.
beautiful. That's a beautiful thing.
Kinsley Williams is talking to the preteen girl that has aspirations of being a model. Do you advise her to try pageants? Do you advise her to try all the social media outlets as far as Facebook pages, Instagram pages? As a model yourself, give her some advice.
I would say, depending on who you are, really focus on what is important to you. What is it what exactly draws you to modeling? And ask yourself that and start there. As a preteen or a younger girl, I think it's important no matter what happens to you, because you may come across bullying, you may come across people being really, really derogatory and hateful to you because you don't fit a certain mold, but that's what makes you beautiful. That's what makes you you. And so if you don't see something that interests you, make something.
Mhm. That's
Find
good.
that. Do that. That's how not only are you going to grow, but you're going to motivate other people around you. And I think that that's the best way to find out who you are as a person. And I think that's what's going to be most important, especially growing up and figuring out who you are, because
Exactly.
you're going through school, you're going through, pressures at home. Maybe you have like some rough siblings, or maybe your parents, you fight with your parents, or, maybe you have a hard time meeting friends. But none of that, at the end of the day, none of that matters, because when it comes to who you are,
Mhm.
don't let other people change who you are. And go through social media if you want. Go to these agencies, but if they tell you no, if you get a
Yeah,
straight up
don't let that.
rejection, don't let that burn out your fire, because that is planted in you for a reason.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Find your outlet and chase that and use that, because you're not only doing it for yourself. When you turn around, when you're done in the industry, when you're my age, when you're 21, you may have a whole group of people behind you who are supporting you that you have no idea about, that
Mhm.
are looking up to you for guidance and vision. So go with your gut, and go with social media in particular. I would say with a grain of salt, and I would be very careful. But do things age appropriate. Do things that you want to do for yourself, and just try new things and see where it takes you.
That's beautifully said.
Thank you.
Yes,
Yes.
it was. Thank you, Kinsley. Okay, now one last question before we part ways here. For the photographers that just now know Kinsley Williams, how do they get in touch with you?
I have an Instagram, so I actually it is at model MODEL Kinsley Williams, KINSLEY Williams, WILLIAMS. No spaces, no underscores, all one word. And so if you see a curly head girl, you can't miss me. I promise. And I changed my profile picture, but you always see the curly hair.
We'll be looking out for the crown and wings.
Yeah, maybe, especially in spring. But also, I do have a website. It is in my bio on my Instagram, so you can just click that. If you want to book me, you can absolutely do so on there. If you want to do it on scheduling, see my rates, see more of my work or a little bit more of my portfolio, you can all see all of that on there, or you can just scroll through my Instagram. Feel free to send me a message.
Kinsley Williams, thank you for being a guest on Model Connection.
Thank you for having
We
me.
have
Thank you
thoroughly
so
It's been great.
enjoyed having you.
Very
Absolutely.
professional.
Thank you. Thank you
Thank
so much
you.
for having me.
Everyone, thank you for listening and watching this episode of Model Connection. Until next time, good night. Thank you.
See ya.